Loyalty is a word that so many people just throw around. They expect you to always be there, to stand by their side no matter what. To be loyal is not about what's right or wrong. It's about choosing that person with complete bias and tunnel vision. Because meeting the criteria for that word is valued more than truth or self-respect. But at what point does this sense of loyalty start to chip away at who you are? We try to feed into this word and make it our identity because the connotation behind it is so positive. Being called loyal is almost the equivalent of being called a superhero. But those same labels can turn into shackles. In the moment you step away is not viewed as trying to protect yourself, it's viewed as betrayal, failure, because you couldn't live up to the expectation of that word. But sometimes leaving isn't betrayal. Sometimes it isn't failure. Sometimes it's the hardest thing you can do. It doesn't feel like strength. It feels like guilt, like cowardice, like giving up on the people, the place, or the situation you once thought you couldn't survive without. But walking away can be the most courageous thing you ever do. Think about the world of Naruto. Shinobi are raised to believe that loyalty to the village comes before everything. Personal grief, personal truth, and even personal justice. When someone follows those rules, they're celebrated. When they don't, they're condemned. Not because they're wrong, but because they disrupt alignment. Loyalty in this system isn't about morality, it's about order. Sasuke Uchiha grows up inside this framework after experiencing a trauma the village never truly allows in the process. His entire clan slaughtered, and the truth of what happened is buried beneath this political convenience. The village chooses stability over honesty, and expects Sasuke to do the same. He's allowed to grieve quietly, but not to question. He's expected to move forward, to become strong, to serve the same system that benefited from his loss. His pain is acknowledged only as long as it doesn't challenge the structure around him. When Sasuke eventually leaves the village, it's easy to dismiss his decision as selfish or short-sighted, and in many ways it is. He leaves in pursuit of power, not healing. He makes choices driven by obsession rather than wisdom. But this isn't a story about Sasuke being right. It's a story about how the moment he leaves, everything else stops mattering. His reasons, his trauma, his context all becomes irrelevant. The only thing that defines him now is the fact that he walked away, and he's given the title to prove it. The title that so many ninja carry, a rogue ninja. But what's crazy is how quickly Sasuke is labeled a traitor. Not because of the crimes he hasn't yet committed, but because leaving itself is treated as unforgivable. The village doesn't ask what broke him. They don't ask whether staying was truly an option for someone carrying that much unresolved pain. The act of departure itself is a sin. Loyalty in this world doesn't ask if you're right, only if you stayed. And Naruto serves as the perfect contrast. He suffers too. He's isolated, ignored, and burdened with expectations he never asked for. But Naruto endures. He stays. He believes that loyalty is carrying pain without letting it change you. And because of that, he's praised. His suffering is framed as noble. Naruto becomes the ideal shinobi not because he's free from pain, but because he absorbs it without disrupting the system that caused it. This contrast forces an uncomfortable question. Are we celebrating strength? Or are we rewarding compliance? Sasuke is not condemned because he seeks power, but because he refuses to endure silently. Naruto is praised not because his pain is smaller, but because he carries it in a way that keeps everyone else comfortable. Loyalty in this sense becomes less about values and more about tolerability. How much pain are you willing to hold without making it someone else's problem? This dynamic isn't unique to fiction. In real life, loyalty is often measured the same way. You're considered loyal as long as you stay in relationships, jobs, families, or belief systems, regardless of whether staying is costing you your identity, your growth, or even your well-being. The moment you leave, the narrative shifts. You're no longer complex. You're selfish, weak, a disappointment. Your reasons are overshadowed by the fact that you broke alignment. Sasuke's story reminds us that leaving doesn't automatically make someone right, but it doesn't always make someone wrong either. We're conditioned to believe that departure is proof of failure, that if someone couldn't stay, they must have not been strong enough, patient enough, or loyal enough. But framing that ignores a harder truth. Sometimes, leaving is the natural outcome of a system that only values you as long as you remain agreeable, as long as you don't ask difficult questions, as long as your pain stays quiet and manageable for everyone else. In those systems, you're praised not for being whole, but for being compliant. Your worth is tied to how you fit the role you were given, not to how you actually are. The moment you start to outgrow that role, tension appears. You're told to be grateful, to endure, to remember everything that's ever been done for you. And slowly, loyalty stops becoming about the connection and starts becoming about control. Leaving isn't a rebellion, it's a refusal to slowly erase yourself. That's why walking away is so often misunderstood. From the outside, it looks selfish. It looks impulsive. It looks like someone's choosing themselves at the expense of others. But from the inside, it rarely feels empowering. It feels heavy. It feels like guilt. It feels like you're abandoning something you once believed in. Most people don't leave because they want more. They leave because staying requires them to shrink down, to abandon a part of themselves. And maybe the hardest part isn't the act of leaving itself. It's about what comes after. It's about accepting that the people who demanded your loyalty were never willing to fully carry your truth. That they loved the version of you that stayed, not the version that questioned. That their support was conditional, offered only as long as you remained familiar, predictable, and aligned. Coming to terms with that realization hurts more than any label of betrayal ever could. In the end, loyalty should be a choice, not a sentence. It should be something you give freely, not something you're trapped inside of. Real loyalty is rooted in shared values, in mutual respect, honesty, and growth, not out of fear of being cast out or condemned. The moment loyalty is enforced through shame or obligation, it stops being loyalty. It starts becoming a test of obedience. Naruto shows us both sides of this reality. It shows the beauty of the endurance of staying, believing, and carrying pain with hope, but it also shows us the danger of demanding that endurance unconditionally. When staying is treated as the highest virtue, leaving becomes the greatest sin, no matter the cost. And the real lesson isn't about choosing Naruto or Sasuke. It's about recognizing when loyalty is helping you grow, and when it's quietly turning into a cage you're too afraid to unlock.